and welcome to Slice of Piefer. I am here with Taylor and her Alani Water, and we are here on a Wednesday to talk about leadership, love, fun. What else, Taylor?
Whatever you're paying me to talk about.
Well, that seems very enthusiastic. Very enthusiastical.
Also, let's just be clear. This is nowhere on this can does it say like that this is a water.
Oh, it's an energy drink.
Now, I'm sure water's one of the main ingredients in here, but it's
Pink
it's just an
energy drink.
I
Sorry.
really like that it says contains 0% juice.
Sorry, Alani.
Yeah.
Thanks for your pink slush.
Mm-hmm.
We're excited. So we started something today that's going out on social media from my platform, my gigantically enormous platform of 12 people.
Mm-hmm.
And it is called Will the Good Wednesday.
What does that mean?
That was so natural. So natural, Taylor. I really liked it. What does that mean?
Exactly.
Thank you for willing my good, Taylor, and being here.
Here.
So nice. So to will the good, right? The definition of willing the good. What is will the good the definition of? I should ask you that.
Is this a test?
It is a test.
What if I decline to take said test?
Did you forget?
No. I know what it means to will the good of other people, to love other people, right?
There you go.
So
that's what Will the Good Wednesday is.
Yeah, about
A day
loving
for
people,
us to
not in a
highlight-
weird way.
Correct. Not in a weird way, in an active way, in an intentional way, and in a way that serves others.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to try to do that on Wednesdays. It's going to be interesting. So
To be clear, we try to will the good every day.
We're trying
But
to will
on
the good.
Wednesdays, you're going to be intentional about putting it out in the universe.
We're going to highlight it on Wednesdays. So yes, not theoretically, in actuality, you should will the good of others all the time.
Any
every day.
opportunity you have.
All day, every day, with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
At all times.
Right. Not being mean.
That was chit. Do it, lady. Everywhere. At all times.
I do not get that. It's so sad.
Yeah, it's okay.
I know you're trying to will my good.
Typically.
I love it. Very nice. But so, yeah, that's going to be the plan.
Mm-hmm.
What hashtags? You came up with some hashtags. I loved them.
I think it should just be WTG.
WTG?
Yeah.
Instead of?
What I actually thought was just WTF.
Right. And I was like, that's crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can change your whole mentality with one keystroke.
Yeah, from F
One
to
letter.
G. Just one space away on the
Just
alphabet.
one letter. Just one small click in your mentality. You go from WTF to WTG. Will the good.
Well, and I mean, if you think about like the negative headspace and the negative everything that comes with WTF, right? Nobody's
Correct.
saying that in the best of circumstances.
Right.
Nobody's thinking that in the
Taylor,
best of circumstances.
So good to see you, WTF.
Yeah. Like, what do you want now? Right? What are you taking from me now? What do you need from me now? But instead of thinking WTF, thinking instead WTG, to will the good, is to realize that just that mental switch from how is this inconveniencing me? How is this my problem? Why am I getting this? To how can I use this as an opportunity to love the person in front of me, the patient in the room with me, the person,
the stranger at the grocery store,
who's in front of me in the line at the grocery store, the person who's behind me in the grocery store who looks like they're really in a hurry, and I can let them go by me and let them have a better day. Whatever it is, the small acts add up. Sometimes are even more substantial than the giant ones.
They'll compound upon themselves. It'll be good. Mm-hmm. Then what was the other one? WTGW.
Yeah.
Will the Good Wednesdays.
Yeah.
WTGW.
Yeah, Will the Good Wednesdays. I like WTG better personally. But.
Well, to each his own and her own, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Well, we've been trialing a bit of a new leadership format for the last 2 weeks. It's been pretty well received. I mean, basically the numbers are through the roof.
Yeah, all 12 people who watch this are
really
loving it.
It might be 13 now.
Oh, we got another one. We reeled one in.
We're willing your good
It's a
too.
whopper. Hold up my fish to the camera.
I like it. Very nice. Very nice, the fish camera. But we have somewhat of a question outline, something or other that's going to help us. And Taylor is going to take us there
Per
right
the usual arrangement.
Ba-dum-bum. Too loud?
That was necessary.
Not unnecessary.
It's really willing the good toward me.
It's willing something.
That's accurate. Wow.
Willing the annoying, as Caroline would say.
Speaking of teams.
That is a fabulous segue. Thank you for that.
Speaking of teams, that's what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about
teams. Got it.
We're talking about teams, with the occupation that you have, the occupation that I have, that I get to do alongside you. We talk about
professional
teams a lot.
dancer.
Yes.
That's my profession.
We're the dancers.
Yes. Ready.
We've been discussing what, good teamwork looks like, but also on that, like what, if we're thinking about building like a dream team, like if we're, in our occupation, that's the operating room, and thinking about what the members of that team might look like, the ideal member of that team.
Mm-hmm.
If you were going to pick it, if you could pick one thing, you could only pick one thing about
super
the people.
Strength.
Yes. Not about yourself, please. He's so strong. He really loves it when I say that to him in the operating room.
Thanks,
You're so
Taylor.
strong. You got that nail out. No problem. You're so strong. And then you tell me that I'm being facetious.
Listen.
Is that willing my good?
It is. It is.
Mm-hmm. Anywho, if we're talking about one characteristic you could pick on the members of your surgical team, and I mean, you can think of that in a bunch of different ways, but what's the one thing that you would put above everything else?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, so I would tell you that the one characteristic that is the key foundational value of any team member, it's got to be integrity, right? Mm-hmm. So, and integrity is, do you do the right thing? Do you do what's best even when nobody's looking, right? Do you do the best thing for your patient, for your team, for your leader, for your teammates, for yourself, even when nobody's looking, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that making the right choices and doing the right thing at all times for the good of the people that you're with, that's integrity, and that's probably the key foundational thing that I want in a teammate.
Mm-hmm. Well, and part of that, at least to my mind, is integrity is doing the next right thing every
Correct.
time, right? You can't control what always happens in the moment, right? Your initial reaction, or if you slip with your retractor, or if you do whatever. But doing the next right thing, making the next right choice after that is by far better, right? If somebody messes up, if something happens and you slip your retractor and you think you got the MCL, or you think you slipped behind and maybe you touched a vessel or something like that, calling it out and bringing it to the surgeon's attention so that he can look, make sure everything's still okay, see if we need to change our plan. That's integrity. That's a good example of it, at least like when I'm thinking about it from my role as first assistant when I'm in the operating room 100%. With you. But everybody on that team, and it takes that whole team, to have the best outcome for that patient, and the patient's part of that process too. They're actually unwillingly or unknowingly part of the team, to make it work. But I think that when you look at it, I mean, it takes the whole team to tango.
There you go. Takes the team to tango. I like it.
Can you imagine if the whole surgical team was tangoing together?
Yeah.
I just got the mental image of like 8 to 12 people
tangoing
just like
around.
Like doing the tango. Maybe a mamba's better.
You need the roses. Yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting because integrity is generally it's an individual quality, right? It's an individual quality that we're looking for in team members. But as a leader, you have to establish a culture where integrity is paramount, right? Because that is going to give you the best ultimate outcomes for anything you do. So if you establish an environment where people are comfortable always doing the right thing, you're not establishing an environment that's founded on fear. Because somebody who has integrity and high levels of integrity will either leave that fear environment to find a better environment for themselves, or they're going to continue to make the environment more and more uncomfortable for everyone because they're going to keep pushing the envelope to do the right thing and establish. So ultimately, that's kind of a culture issue as well. So it's an environment and culture issue that you're establishing as a leader, and in order to have team members who have high levels of integrity, you as a leader have to have it as well.
Yeah. I mean, the characteristic you didn't say was like, surgical prowess, technique, anything like that,
Sure.
right? Because to me, that's the low hanging fruit, right? Somebody can improve their technique over time.
Right.
If they're not an integrous person, if they don't have character,
Right.
that's much harder to train or to get right. You can, even somebody who's less experienced, even somebody who's, maybe not as well versed in the case, but they're an integrous person. Yeah, I'm going to take that as somebody who's on this team more so than somebody who maybe has a lot more skill, but I know also needs to get out of here by, this time and is going to cut corners and is going to try to do things quicker or going to take shortcuts that may ultimately end up sacrificing patient care.
No question. And the reality for those things is, it's a little bit, I think Simon Sinek had he drew his little chart about the Navy SEALs. I shouldn't say little chart. It's a famous chart, right? And it had the person who is highly skilled with high trust is the person everybody wants. The person who has high trust but middle to low skill level is still a team member that's favored over the person with high skill and low trust. Mm-hmm. And you could just substitute for that trust, the integrity, the word integrity in that, and you would see it. The person who has low skill and low integrity, nobody wants them, right? Because we can't trust you and you're not good at what you do. But the person who has high skill but low trust, or high skill and lacks integrity, that's a toxic leader. That's the person that, at least in the Navy SEALs and in any team that you want to work with. Now, clearly that's Simon Sinek, became very famous for describing what the Navy SEALs described to him, but it's really true.
Yeah, I remember us talking about that when we did the book review for the Jocko Willink-Leaf Babin book.
Yep.
That was a good part of it.
Well, Simon Sinek's book, Know Your Why, that would be a good one for us to review as well. Yeah, Know Your Why. I was thinking of books for us to do. That one is a great one. Start with Why, I think, is another one. Maybe, I don't know if I'm getting those titles correct, but they're kind of that similar. Understanding Your Purpose, which is really fun. Those are just good things, good exercises, regardless of what you're doing.
Sure.
So
is there a time or an example you can think of from your time in the operating room where somebody on the team, spoke up, offered up a suggestion or something that has genuinely either changed the outcome of a case or has changed the outcome of many cases for you?
Right.
Can you think of a time or example that's like that?
Well, I think so. It happens regularly when team members feel free to offer suggestions or opportunities or have questions. Really, the worst thing that can happen is I just say no, right? We're not going to do it that way, or we're not going to do this. And so establishing that environment where people can do it, like using a pituitary rongeur, right? The pituitary is in the brain, right? And that rongeur is used for something totally different in the brain than it is in a total knee. But we had one of our amazing scrub techs said, "Hey, have you ever thought about using this?" And we now use it basically in every total knee we do to help get osteophytes or bone spurs or pieces of bone out of the back of the knee in a safe and efficient way that makes it easier. And that's easier. And I think that kind of, those small things that not only will my good as the surgeon, but they also will the good of the patient. That's all huge, and it makes a difference. But you have to have integrity and you have to have confidence as a team member that you can speak up without getting shouted down in the room, without getting ridiculed. And that's, again, that's on the shoulders of the leader to make that decision, not on the shoulders of the folks that have to figure out how do we do it. But if you're a leader and you feel like, hey, what are some specific strategic advantages? What are some great advantages that you could take care of? And the reality really for me and you've worked with other surgeons before, but I haven't worked with another surgeon since I was in residency. And most of those folks who are in the operating room with us, they, 4 other days a week or 6 days a week are operating with other surgeons who have other techniques, who have other ways that, hey, if it looks like you're struggling here, this could be a good option. Hey, we use this to help repair the quad. We use this to do something different. And so I think that there's value in having a bit of humility as a leader to allow people to make suggestions and to think out loud and to be a member of the team and to stay kind of not only engaged in the case, but to be a part of the team. And because for me, the people in the room, and really for any surgeon, if you can use every person in the room as a team member, as opposed to just a person who's handing you instruments or somebody who's waiting for you to tell them every move they have to make, right? Then all of a sudden things start to move. Like they start to move in a way that's, almost, it is a little bit like a dance. It is a little bit like a choreographed play, and when you've been in there, when we're in a room where the team is clicking and moving, all of a sudden a case that takes an hour takes 45 minutes. All of a sudden a case that could take 2 or 3 hours takes 60 or 90 minutes. And, because the x-ray tech has got everything figured out. They know where they need to be. The team knows where things need to be set up. And so I think there's some beauty in that, in those moments. And when you see a team really clicking on all cylinders, it can be a really, really cool thing for everybody in the room.
Yeah. When I think about how that change just ripples out, like when you brought up the example of the pituitary rongeur, you have these big bear paws and you're trying to get to the back of the knee with a standard rongeur. And this scrub tech, who, again, that's their role, is to hand the instrumentation, says, have you thought about using this? And now 2,000 plus total knees later,
right?
That's how many times that suggestion and her feeling comfortable around you, which again is because of your leadership style and the way that you're just the way that you are as a person, but also the way that you handle the operating room, made her feel comfortable to do that, and that's impacted the lives of that many people, right?
Right.
Because if you can't get back there, can't get all the osteophytes out, how does that impact that patient, right? Other than just ugly X-rays. Right. It also impacts their flexion. And
pain, range of motion.
Pain, exactly, all of that. And you have some of the prettiest posterior knees that I see on total knees, so that's awesome. And that's that one change, right? If you think about that with everybody else in the operating room, from the most senior person that might be in there, which typically could be the surgeon, but it also could be the anesthesiologist, could be the circulating nurse, anybody, down to the person who just started. All of them having that ability to feel heard. I mean, if everybody puts that touch on a patient, that's just, it's just multiplying the positive benefit that they'll see.
I agree. No question about it.
Yeah, 100%. So another, this one's a little bit dicey, this question.
Dicey questions are my favorite, and I literally have no clue what you're talking about, so this is going to be interesting.
It's a little spicy. Nice. I need a little sip of my Alani before I go.
The Alani, not water, energy drink.
Not water. How do you handle it when a more senior or a more experienced team member is doing something you believe is incorrect?
Right.
So how do you handle when somebody that you might respect them, but they may just be either seniority or most experience? What do you do, or how do you handle it when you feel like what they're doing is wrong?
Gotcha. So, we talk about this all the time. We talk about needing to be able to go to sleep at night with a clear conscience, right? I've got to lay my head down and feel like I did everything that I could to help the people that I'm with. And so for team members who are in that scenario, it's been a little while for me since I was in a room where I was not one of the most senior people in the room. I'm not tooting my own horn. It's just, that's the nature of orthopedic surgery, right? Somebody's got to be the orthopedic surgeon. So, but I agree with that. I think that ultimately that does come down to integrity. It does come down to doing the right thing. It does come down to saying, like, hey, if I'm in a situation where I think someone's life, someone's livelihood, someone's joint is being threatened, right? It may not be a joint. It could be anything, right? If you feel like that you're in that situation, then speaking up is the right thing to do, right? Speaking up and even if that carries with it some risk of pain, right? It carries with, whether it's embarrassment, whether it's someone getting upset with you, whether it's, goodness, I could, be in a situation where things don't work out the way that I want them to. I think that having that foundational integrity, the foundational purpose of willing the good, the foundation of saying, hey, I will be a person who always does what's right, right? Then when you step up and you do that, you haven't violated any of your own, you haven't violated anything. Now, it does sets a foundation where now if you don't speak up, you're going to violate your own purpose, and you're going to violate your own rules and morals and expectations of yourself. But I think that in there's courage that it takes to do a lot of things that very courageous people do, right? And so I'm not trying to speaking up in those situations, while it's not easy, isn't, maybe that's different than running into a burning building or, going to do these other different things. I don't want to downplay the courage of other folks, but it can feel really daunting when you're sitting in a moment and you have someone senior to you who's doing something that, man, I don't feel like this is right. And I think there's a piece where having that courage and that integrity and that expectation of yourself to step up and to say something, it's way easier for me to say it here than it is for it to actually happen. But if you do that, then you go to sleep at night knowing I did everything that I could. Will the leader always listen? Not necessarily. Will you be able to make a change? Who knows? But the reality is, the more times that you keep doing that, the more times that you do what's right, the more times people are going to, even for the leader who you think is not listening, they're going to hear it, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, my experience in the role that I have, sadly, it happens a lot, and it's a mixed bag of how what happens next goes, but you're not in control of that, right?
Right.
All I can do is if I see something that I think is wrong, right? Whether it's the surgeon I'm working with, or if it's somebody else that's on the team, or if it's another doctor or specialist that's consulting on a case, all I can do is make sure that the person who can make that change happen knows about it. Whether it's that specialist specifically, it's the surgeon I'm working with, it's the member of the team who's doing something that I think is not in the best interest of the patient. It's just bringing that to their attention. And if I think it's going to affect the patient outcome, whether it's a loss of life or limb, then I have the right to then go a step higher. And unfortunately, that happens sometimes.
Right.
But my license is on the line if I don't, right? And at the end of the day, that person that we're taking care of, that's somebody's mom, that's somebody's sister, that's somebody's husband, that's somebody's best friend. And I would hope that there's always a room full of people who are there willing my good, to use your phrase, as well as
technically Thomas Aquinas, but
whatever. Sir Thomas, come on over. You can be on the podcast too. It's a little bit of that Harry Carey sketch. What? Well, apparently Sir Thomas Aquinas has been dead for several hundred years. You know what? We'll try to get him anyway.
Bring him on.
Yeah. Anywho, sorry, tangent. But I have had times though where I'm a non-confrontational person. I know that's hard for you to imagine because I confront you all the time.
So mean.
But especially with people who tend to be loud, angry, yell, like very tyrannical. It's hard, but I gotta sleep at night. And so if I tell them, hey, I think this, and their vote outweighs mine, but I think that the person's life or limbs at stake, then I can go a step above that.
Right.
And I've had to do that sometimes, and I've had other times where I thought it was going to go poorly, that ultimately that person then came later and said, hey, thank you. Like you caught this thing, and, we were able to mitigate it, address it, fix it. And now, this patient's not going to have this complication anymore. So I've had times where I was surprised by the outcome. And I've had other times where, unfortunately, the worst case scenario did come into light, but I can look at each one of those times, and all of those I can feel comfortable with.
Right.
The times I didn't speak up, those are the ones that haunt you. Like,
no doubt. That
will weigh on your conscience forever. And all you got to do is really have one of those where you didn't speak up and have an adverse event where you say, I'm not going to ever do that again.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes it's a simple question, right? Sometimes it's a prompt. Sometimes it's not that you have to have some kind of big show of, hey, this is not what I think. But sometimes even for a surgeon, sometimes it's, and I often see that, and I think people just do it. And it's like, hey, did you think about this? Or, hey, what do you think about that? Anterior leading edge of the supraspinatus, you're like, oh, and to have your team, to have every person in the room, whether it's whether it's the scrub tech, the equipment reps, the circulating nurse, the anesthesia team, the PA or nurse practitioner, your assistant who's there moving and working towards the same goal. As a leader, if you can view all of those questions or those prompts or those inquiries as opportunities to really will the good, right? No, right. We're not asking you this to make you, you're not asking me a question or bringing up a prompt for me to feel like, oh, I'm an idiot, right? You're bringing it up because we're trying to do what's best for the patient. And I think all of that comes down to like that foundational purpose of your team. And if the purpose is, I got to get done fast, get home, do as many cases as we can, make as much money as we can, right? If that's what your purpose is, then yeah, everybody's purpose can be united around that. And ultimately things will fall through the cracks and there will be issues. But if your purpose is foundationally willing the good of the other, it's doing the best for these people, then, and your team does that too, right? Then all of those questions can be like, even if it's frustrating, even if somebody's like, hey, what is that I'm looking at, then that question is not a question of like attack. It's a question to help move you in the right direction and to try to help that person who's asking the question be able to will their own good, right? And you can help them by answering honestly and clearly and directly and move forward.
Would you say that you think maybe integrity is one of the most underrated skills like in our occupation? Like it's not one that we necessarily talk about a lot when you're like, what are you looking for in your surgeon or in your surgical team?
Sure.
Which is what we've been talking about. Like it's not necessarily like if you'd asked me that same question 15 years ago, before, when I was still a tiny baby PA, probably integrity is
barely said your first words.
Barely said super spinatus. I don't know that I would have, if you told me what's the best skill to look for in your surgeon, I don't know that I would have said integrity.
Right. I think the interesting thing about that is I think that people from a mental standpoint, or people when they think about integrity, they think about that as a foundational personality issue. And I think there's a piece of that that's there where there's just people who are genuinely good people, but even genuinely good people can do genuinely not good things. And I think that that's a part. I mean, you and I have talked about it so many times, and you say like, hey, I'm a person who exercises, right? Like if you can look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, I'm a person who does the right thing, right? I'm a person who, when things go poorly, I will still do the right thing, right? When things are painful and difficult, I will do the right thing, right? When a situation is uncomfortable, I will still do the right thing, right? Those pieces, those things, like there's value in that. And as you keep saying that to yourself and to your team, right? Like, I mean, and that's sort of also gratitude, right? Some of the gratitude for your team doing the work that they're doing, I think is really helpful. It's helpful for that because as you sort of build that in your team, that expectation is there, but then that identity is there. Like we do what's right and we do what's right for the patients. And I think that's really a beautiful thing when you have your whole team working together and kicking on all cylinders and doing all the things that you need to do and you're doing what's right. It makes a huge difference.
You talk about gratitude a lot.
Right.
And so is that just like a performance strategy or is that like just the right thing to do? Like, and does the distinction really matter? Right? If you're doing it to get, a team that's efficient so you can get more cases done and make more money and all that versus just genuinely being grateful and having gratitude. Does it matter?
Oh, I mean, I think without question it matters. I think that true and sincere gratitude are things that you can't fake that. Your team will know if you are placating to them, right? True, sincere gratitude is also foundational for where you are, right? And so, I mean, from my standpoint, so many people work behind the scenes to make sure that these patients do well and to make sure that our cases go well and to make and if you don't if I don't look back and look at myself and say, hey, what could I have done on my own here? Right. And the reality is that most all of what I do, it does not live in a vacuum, right? There are so many pieces of every puzzle that come from the team that are around you, and having sincere gratitude and being sincerely grateful to the people that are there. They know that, and they can feel that when you tell them thank you and you mean it, right? They can feel when you give somebody a compliment and say, hey, not giving them a compliment because it's on a checklist, not giving a compliment because like this is what I have to do, but because I really believe, hey, you did an amazing job today. Thank you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means something. And it means something when somebody says it to me,
Mm-hmm.
but it means something when you say it to somebody else, especially as a leader. That is a game changer because because it's real and because it's true,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you're just like, I mean, I've said this a lot of times. I think you can't go shout down the room and tell everybody how worthless they are and then say thank you at the end and walk out and be like, I was grateful for that. You know, like it needs to be, it's gratitude is not an individual gesture. Gratitude is continuous throughout your leadership team, throughout your actions with everybody you work with. Gratitude should be something that they can feel when you are working.
Right.
And I think as a leader, I think it is foundational to having a good team, to having exceptional gratitude and understanding for what they do for you.
Sure. And behavior and action, that is the language, right? I don't care what you say. I don't care if you tell me you're thankful for me or grateful for me. I care what your actions show me.
Right.
I've definitely had and worked with the people who will check the box, but their actions don't support that. They don't show the actions of someone who's grateful that I decided to stay late and help them finish up their cases, even though I don't have to, right? Or grateful that I stuck my neck out and called something out that affected the outcome positively. Their actions didn't show that when they were flustered and yelling at me and telling me to stay in my lane or whatever else.
Sure.
But then later telling me, thank you, like, but then the next time that opportunity presents, they don't change the behavior. Right. And that's where that sincerity and showing things through your actions, like, again, like working with you, I don't ever have to question that. It's never a thought of, is he actually grateful for my help? Like, I trust everything you say because your actions back that up.
Sure.
Can't say that for everybody I've worked for in my life, but it's easy. And again, it feels good to feel appreciated for, again, sometimes saying or doing things that are uncomfortable. Right.
And I think that some of that gratitude can, not only as a leader at work, but as a leader in your family, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't shout down your kids and then at the end of the day be like, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's like, why are you
the light of my life?
Why are you acting like that? Right. And I think that piece, there's value to pull that into your life and everywhere you go.
Right.
You know?
When you're talking about like willing the good and out serving, right? That's another thing that like I try to tell myself, not just at work with my patients, with my coworkers, but also in my family. Like, how can I like, it's just a constant battle of how can I do for them? Right. How can I serve them? How can I do that? And part of that is making sure I take care of myself because I'm not able to pour into them if I'm depleted. So being the person that exercises and eats well most of the time and tries to take care of themselves is a way of loving them.
Right.
Because when I've been the mom zombie or the shell of myself and trying to run, I'm completely disassociated from my family. I'm dissociated from the moment.
Right.
I come to work and I'm still, able to take care of patients because again, that's in my mind, that's life and limb, that's important. That's somebody's health in my hands. But I didn't see necessarily all my daily interactions with family, friends, everybody else in that same light. And that's been the big switch and shift, is changing that mentality of how can I do this for everyone, including myself. Right.
Well, and that's the whole biblical love your neighbor as yourself, right? Sometimes people leave off the as yourself part, right? And so to love your neighbor or to will the good of your neighbor in the same way that you will the good of yourself, right? And we don't will the good of ourselves. If you empty everything you've got and you never take care of yourself and you never love yourself, then you're going to still be empty when it's all done. And so I think there's a piece of that understanding that I'm not just willing the good of others, but I am going to serve me and I am going to do the exercise. I am going to eat right. I am going to take the time, whether it's in prayer, meditation, reading, whatever it is that you need to help yourself recharge, all of those things, whether it's rest, recovery, exercise,
Mm-hmm.
if you become completely imbalanced,
Mm-hmm.
then you're not willing the good of yourself or anyone else. And so, again, true perfect balance doesn't exist, but getting so far out of balance that you're not willing your own good is really a big challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Now, getting so far out of balance that all you do is will your own good without anybody else, without
Mm-hmm.
reference to anyone, whether it's family, friends, right? Then that's
Mm-hmm.
the flip side, right? That's just
Mm-hmm.
being selfish
Yeah.
and being ambitious and trying to push yourself to a point where
Mm-hmm.
where it's a kind of win at all cost,
Mm-hmm.
when in all reality, all you're doing is losing.
Right. When I mean, at least my experience is I see a lot more of the other side of that coin, where people just aren't taking care of themselves.
Right.
And while they're trying to take care of everybody else, and we
Mhm.
feel like that's what we're doing, we're actually not.
Right.
Right. You know, yes, packing your kids' lunches for school and prepping their meals and keeping a clean house and doing these things is a way of loving your family, but they don't necessarily see that. Right.
Right.
They see a ticked off, short-tempered, volatile person. And they, what they would rather have is a slightly dirtier home, but have that one-on-one time with you.
Right. Spending the time. Yep.
Yeah. And you can only do that if you take care of yourself. You can only pour into that and be sincere about it.
Right.
And people can tell, like we were just talking about, true gratitude versus false gratitude. The sincere, connection and time with people. My kids can tell it if I'm not fully engaged with them, if I'm looking at something on my phone or I'm thinking about all these other things that need to get done. They know. They call me out on it. Kids are honest.
Right.
Right. They don't hold back.
Very true.
Such as Axel telling that at the optometrist appointment that he thought they were making up the word macula because it sounds like Dracula.
It does sound
And he
a
thinks she
lot
made
like
that up.
Dracula. I'm not certain that he's not right.
You're a doctor. You know a macula is a thing.
I did. I'm a learned doctor.
You are a learned doctor. I still can't believe he did that.
Yeah, that's that. We'll see. More power to him. He felt comfortable to speak his mind. If you're gonna if we're just gonna use rhyming words, then come on.
Yeah. He didn't stop speaking his mind. They're like, look at this barn. And he's like, why does it have to be a barn? Why can't it be something cool? And she's like, I don't know. He said, could you figure it out? And I was just like,
Could you figure it out?
And then, the macula thing. And then she said, hey, he's looking at the letters and he's just so confidently saying the wrong letter. And she looks at me and says, can he read? He said, yes. And I can hear too.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm going to have my hands full with this one.
The tude is there. I
and
like
a
it.
5-year-old.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I love it. That is so funny. But well, very good. Well, I think that was fun.
Fun times.
Teamwork. It takes a team to dance around.
To team to tango.
That's right. A team to tango. All good.
Maybe it's more like the cha-cha slide or something like that.
Right. The Cupid shuffle.
Do the Cupid shuffle. Maybe the electric slide.
Yeah.
Yeah. The grapevine.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Macarena.
Hey, Macarena, I
love it. Well, we are going to look out for hashtag WTG. Will the Good Wednesday. Will the Good every day. But we'll highlight it. I think we're going to put some links or email or something. People can send in their stories and we'll try to highlight them online. If you know somebody who did something good for somebody, if you know someone did a great act and you want to have them recognized, and send them to us. We'll send them to us and we will recognize them on Wednesday. We'll do it on our socials. We'll post it. We'll hashtag it. And I think bringing a little bit of goodness into the world, a lot of goodness into the world is really the key. So that's kind of fun.
The more the merrier.
Build people up. Taylor loves it. Even as mean as she is in all of my Instagram.
She's mean as a snake.
She's mean as a rattlesnake most of the time.
Yeah.
But she's willing my good. She's building my tough exterior.
Exactly. You don't need a yes PA. You just need, somebody who calls it out.
Stink eye. Over and over.
I don't have a stink eye.
You do give me the stink eye occasionally.
I do not. I don't even know what that means. What does my
this.
stink eye look like?
You just almost had it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What is my student for? That was pretty much it.
That's
There
rude.
it is. There it is. There it is.
That's just the
Right
way
in-
my face is.
No. That's the stink eye. I like it. El ojo, as they call it.
Ah, the ojo.
Right? That's a
Okay.
thing.
It is, but it means something a little different where I grew up. Yeah.
I thought it still means eye, doesn't it?
It means the eye, but it doesn't mean the stink eye.
The mean eye?
The evil eye.
Evil eye.
Mhm.
Evil eye and stink eye, they're not the same?
No, I would say not.
I'm missing the hilariousness here. But
Stink eye.
evil eye, and to me, those are the same.
I don't think so. To me, those mean different things.
Oh, gosh. You're taking this to a bad place, aren't you?
No, words like evil and stink go somewhere bad.
Never. Never. All right. Well, thank you guys for being here. Thanks for being with us. Catch up with us next week.
Let me know if you
Taylor's
think
been-
stink eye and evil eye are different.
I think they're the same.
I think they're different.
We're going to get some nasty comments. It's going to be so bad.
If we get one comment, that would be
You'll be willing our good.
exactly.
You will be willing our good by making one comment.
Comment.
One thumbs up. One.
Yeah, give me the stink eye emoji. Which one's that one?
There you go. Sounds good. There it is.